Hey everyone, welcome back to a new speed build in The Sims 1. We're going to be building two towers on two separate hills separated by a large lake. We're on the lot that is normally Pet Paradise in Old Town, so it's normally a community lot, but I've rezoned it as a residential lot. A little while ago, maybe 2 months ago, I built a trailer park on this same lot, but it's in a different neighborhood, so I didn't have to bulldoze that in order to build this. I just wanted to use this lot because it's one of the largest ones in the game, and I really wanted to have a lot of space, not so much for what I'm building, but mostly for the landscaping. As you'll see, the actual built constructions on the lot turn out to be fairly small and minimal in terms of space, but I wanted to have, a lot of space for the outside, so to speak. Before I kind of talk about the inspiration for this lot, I wanted to mention that I had a problem with the second part of the recording of this build because I recorded it in two parts on 2 different days. And the second part didn't record properly, so you'll see the first part of the video as a speed build, and then it's going to jump forward to the end result of the build. So mostly what is missing is just me doing the landscaping of the lot, but hopefully you can still get the idea of how it all kind of came together. So the inspiration behind why I wanted to build this lot kind of came from a few different places. About 3 or 4 months ago, I built a small home up on a mountain, and it was kind of surrounded by trees and had some areas of water down at the bottom of the mountain. And since then, I had kind of wondered whether it would be possible to have 2 separate mountains or hills even just on the same lot with 2 different residences, because I just thought somehow that would make quite a cool location for storytelling, almost as if nature has shaped the land before the Sims have got there, and Sims wanting to live in a hilly area can choose to construct their houses up on a hill. And I don't know, it's something about a potentially peaceful countryside existence that doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense in a suburban neighborhood, but it's nice to kind of play around with anyway, I think. And quite a while ago, I built a micro home, like a very small home, right in the middle of a lake. And I thought it would be fun to kind of combine these 2 ideas somehow, to have 2 mountain homes on one lot, but separated by a body of water. So then I was kind of thinking, what's going to be the story of these 2 houses? Who's going to be living here? Why are these houses here in the first place? So I came up with a few possible explanations or backstories maybe, and I was kind of working through these as I was deciding how I was going to build. So my first idea was that these 2 houses on these 2 separate hills belong to 2 brothers who have inherited probably quite a large amount of money from their father, and in his will, their father has divided the money equally between his 2 sons and said, "You are grown now, and it's time for you to both go forward in life and set up your own homes." But I had in the back of my mind the Bible story about the 2 men who had to decide whether they were going to construct their houses on rock or on sand. Actually, I don't think they had to decide. I think the idea is more like the quicker and easier way to build a house, supposedly, is to build it on sand, and building a house on rock is harder and more time consuming. But the message supposedly is that when the storm comes, and the storm represents the difficulties of life, I think, the house that's built on the rock can withstand the storm, and the house that's built on sand just collapses and can't survive the storm because it was quickly built without good foundations. And I think the metaphor there is something about if you build your life on the teachings of Jesus, you can withstand the difficulties of life more easily. So yeah, anyway, the idea was that I was going to have two brothers living in each of the houses, and maybe they're very different, and maybe they have a very different approach to life, and they prioritize different things, and they care about different things and have different interests, but they live together on the same large plot of land, and it's all thanks to the inheritance that they had from their father. So this was just kind of one idea that I had. But then I kind of thought, what if instead of brothers, it was sisters living in the two houses? Like men are used in this example, in this particular Bible story, but why not have two sisters who live separately from one another in their own houses across the lake? And maybe they're different, maybe they're similar, maybe they have a difficult relationship and they want independence somehow, but they can't fully live without each other, or there's a certain bond that keeps them together. I feel like that's definitely a Sims storyline that you could play with. That would be quite fun. But then as I was building, I started thinking about how big the lake is in between the two hills, and how it would kind of make sense to carve out something within that lake to have a little bit of space kind of on the lake that both sides of the lake could access. I don't know, maybe this scenario is a little bit cliched, but it's the one I kind of ended up liking the most. And it's that the two towers on each of the hills belong to two lovers who have been forbidden to be together. I feel like there's some kind of fairy tale element there, or like almost Romeo and Juliet, forbidden love or something. And I just really loved the idea that two lovers might be confined by the expectations of society or their families to their individual towers, but then somehow they have a kind of secret meeting place that they can go to at night. Of course, it's at night, it has to be at night. So there's a lover's swing in the middle of the lake that divides the two hills, and there's a narrow path leading to the center of the lake from the back of the lot where you can access the lover's swing. And the thing is, even though the lover's swing is right in the middle of the lot, I wanted to make it feel kind of secluded and a little bit private. So I placed a wall around the back of it, and then I actually put a window in the wall so you'd think you can look through to see who is sitting in the swing. But then I also put some box hedges and narrow trees just behind it. So anybody who's walking past late at night is probably not going to be able to see who's sitting in that swing, because there's already a hedge lining the front of the lot anyway. And I didn't really put any lights outside, so at nighttime it should be pretty dark. I think the whole forbidden love fairy tale aspect to this backstory definitely made me want to design the two houses as towers. I didn't imagine them as kind of cozy tiny homes. I thought they'd be more like old buildings without a ton of space inside, with very limited furniture and activities. In both of the towers, I used the medieval style four-poster bed and kind of dark greens and blues and browns. There is a fully functioning kitchen and bathroom in both towers, although they are very small, as well as at least one object for fun or skill building. So I kind of imagined the individual Sims living in each tower would be comfortable enough, like they'd be fine, their needs would be taken care of, but they would feel kind of isolated, kind of lonely, and maybe a little bit claustrophobic, at least during the day, until they sneak out to the lover's swing at night. In an ideal world, I would have liked to have had more than two stories for the towers, because I think a bit more height would add to this sense of looking down below, across the valley almost, down to the lake and beyond. I think it would add something to the romance of the story almost. I also placed a vegetable garden by one corner of the lake, although I didn't imagine that the Sims living here would be the ones to care for it. Maybe if it's their families who've confined them to their towers, then their families would send somebody to come around regularly and look after the vegetable garden and water all the flowers. So yeah, I think that is everything I wanted to say about this lot. I have a playlist with all of the other build videos I've made in The Sims 1, which I'll link in the description for you to check out next. Do like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and I will see you in the next one.